Hey guys, this is the long-awaited video that we have been waiting what seems like forever for, myself included. It seems like every single time I make a plan for almost anything, something always comes up. So, anyways, here we go with this video. To all of my new subscribers, hi, I'm glad you decided to come on this journey with us. I hope you maybe can take something away from this video, and I hope you decide to stay with us for the ride. So let's get down to it. Is it cheaper in the long run to have backyard chickens? I asked my dad this question a while ago, and his answer was, well, if you have chickens, you know you'll always have eggs. Now, we've all been into the stores where they just don't have hardly anything anymore. I know, like, we're in a little town, and sometimes our store has it, sometimes it don't. But anyways, you will always have eggs if you have chickens. If, big case in point here, if you can keep the predators out of them. Now, there are certain predators. There are raccoons, there are possum, there are coyote, different things that love to eat your birds. So, I mean, if you want backyard chickens and you want to free range them, my advice would be to make sure that you have some kind of dogs or something that can not eat your chickens, but yet keep your chickens protected. We have a mama dog over here. Some videos back, we had where she had puppies. We decided to keep one of her puppies, and we have since, that's a long story, but we'll get into that another time. The mom kind of went full KFC on all of our chickens. We had like 50 chickens at one given point in time, and then she come in and she ate them all. She left us with 8 chickens. So the statistics and stuff that I'm going to be telling you guys about today are going to be based off of those 8 chickens. Okay, so let's get into it. I know different places have different prices for things. We are in a small town, like I mentioned earlier. When I went to Walmart and was looking at our eggs the other day, for a large dozen, it was $5, and for an extra large dozen, it was $5.50. Guys, that is crazy. But now, it's going to go back to a lot of if you eat a lot of eggs. Now, if your family eats a lot of eggs, and you're paying these prices right here, then it's probably your best bet to go on and get you a couple of backyard chickens. Now, there is a startup cost. You can either buy chickens from a local feed and farm store or Tractor Supply, or maybe, you know, you've got some kind of local farmer next to you or near you that can, you know, maybe hatch you out some eggs or something, and that right there may be your best bet. So we know the prices of the eggs. If, just say you go through 2 extra large dozen a week, that's $11 a week just in eggs, and we know that the price of milk and bread and everything else has gone up. So why should you pay more for your eggs if you don't have to? Okay, so let's break down some of the cost for having backyard chickens. So some of the things that you will need when you get started with a backyard chicken is you'll probably want some kind of enclosure to make sure that your chickens are mostly free from all predators. Now, there are snakes that can climb in through almost any kind of wire and get eggs. You don't really want that happening. There are precautionary measures you can take with that. We don't really have that problem, so I'm not really sure what they are, but you can take precautionary measures with that. And like I said, as far as your other predators, if you have something they're barking or something like that, most of the time, they're not going to mess with your animals. Okay, so in your startup, you'll want some kind of enclosure. You will need some kind of coop, because 2 of the main things with chickens is you want to keep them warm and you want to keep them dry. Just some kind of little, now if you're handy, you can do something with some wood and make a little coop. We're going to do one of those here this year for our silky chickens, and my husband's going to try to put me something together. I'm not sure he knows it yet, so honey, if you're watching, I love you. But also, you'll need something where maybe they feel comfortable and they go in and they lay their eggs. Most of the time, if they have like a warm, dry place, they're gonna wanna lay their eggs there. So that's where you can go in and you can get them. And also it kind of keeps like an out of sight, out of mind. If a predator don't see an egg, they're not gonna think about it. Now, if they see the chicken, they're gonna wanna do that. So we've determined that you need we use a 10 by 10 dog kennel for our silky chickens. That's just what we decided to use. We're gonna expand it and make it a, what, 20 by 20, something like that. We're gonna expand that pen and make a deluxe chicken coop for them, sorta. But yeah, so you need the enclosure, you need the coop, and if you're kind of free ranging them, you may need something like some nesting boxes. But if you don't have nesting boxes, we use milk crates for ours, but they don't really like the milk crates. So if you just want to throw some hay down on the ground, they'll scratch them out a little nest, and that's what they'll use. Okay, so we have enclosures kind of covered right there. And so now let's talk about food. Okay, so our chickens pretty much eat corn and table scraps. We buy corn. Now we get our feed from a local farm store. The prices that I have gathered for you guys today are from our local Tractor Supply. Now, there is some controversy with Tractor Supply food. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know much about that because, like I said, we don't use them. So, guys, kind of, if you're concerned about that, check around. I'm sure there's somebody else on the internet talking about it. Okay, so we're going to get into food. And like I said, we use corn and we give them chicken. We give scraps. You can see that my dad has fed his chickens some scraps right here. Okay, so this was some coleslaw that they had left over that they weren't going to eat, that was past its expiration date. So he brings it out here and he gives it to the chickens. The chickens will eat almost practically anything. I have yet to find very much that they will not eat besides onions. A chicken will not eat onions. We're going to go with, now, the corn, you can get it at Tractor Supply, and it is around $16. I didn't actually get the price for that one. My bad. But the scratch grain is what we first started all of our chickens on, and that was $18.29 a bag. Now, most of these prices are based on 50-pound bags. The layer pellets, which we'll get into in a minute, are $15.49 a bag. Now, like I said, we do the corn and we do scraps. We have 8 chickens, and a 50-pound bag of corn will last us right at 2 weeks. Now, when I had the 40 to 50 chickens, I think a 50-pound bag would last us about a week. They go through some, you know, the more chickens you have, the more you have to throw out, and the more they eat and stuff like that. Now, there's also some controversy on that too, whether you feed once or twice a day. Now, when it's warm outside, most of the time we only feed once a day, because there are things outside, there are bugs, worms, and things like that that they can scavenge for, scratch for, and they eat. Now, when it's cold outside, we feed them a little bit more because we want to make sure that their body temperature stays kind of, you know, higher. So there's that in that. Feed prices will go up somewhat during the winter time. It don't matter how many chickens you have if you're feeding them twice a day. So yeah, we started ours on the scratch grain. They did well on it. When they got a little bit older, we decided to go ahead and move to corn, and they get all of the table scraps. So guys, like I said, you might as well say, you can say $20 will feed 8 chickens for 2 weeks if you decide to go that route. Now let's talk about the layer pellets for a minute. Layer pellets, now I recently heard that a chicken, kind of like a woman, I guess. A chicken is born with all the eggs that it's ever gonna lay. Don't know the anatomy of the chicken, so don't know how that works. But chickens are born with whatever they're gonna lay. So you can give them layer pellets, and just say a specific chicken before the layer pellets is only giving you 3 to 4 eggs a week. You give them the layer pellets and they're giving you 6 eggs a week. When they are done laying those eggs, that's it. You're not gonna get anything else out of that bird. Now, my dad can tell you which birds of his are too old to lay and not. He won't tell my mom because my mom has decided that it's okay to eat them if they're not laying, and he's done kind of made friends with them. Me personally, my husband wants to do some freezer chickens, but I can't do it. I can't have any kind of part in it because if I feed it, I friend it. If I friend it, I can't eat it. Just is what it is. We've covered the enclosure, we've covered the coop, and we've covered a little bit on the food. Here are some extra little facts that you may want to know. Just say Easter's coming up, they're gonna have little baby chicks. You go and get you some baby chicks. Be prepared to wait 5 to 9 months before they actually start laying. Yeah, just be prepared for the wait because they're not gonna start laying in a couple of months. It's gonna take them at least, I think the earliest we had any of our chickens start to lay was somewhere around 5 months. Yeah. Here's another thing, with the price of chickens now, I believe I seen somewhere on a site somewhere where people were selling chickens that an adult hen is going for almost $15 to $20 a bird. Guys, that's ridiculous. Get them as babies, raise them up, because there's no way I'm gonna pay $20 on any kind of bird. We have an incubator. Now, I think I bought my incubator off of Amazon. If you want to go back and look, about 1.5 years ago, we did a little thing on it and I showed how it works, and we've hatched several chickens in it. I've had more luck out of that little, I think it was like a $30 Amazon incubator, than I did using my dad's $100 and something incubator. Just couldn't do it. But you can also, that's also an option too to look at. And just before anybody says anything, no, you cannot incubate store-bought eggs. You just can't. I mean, people try it. People have asked me about it and asked me could they use my incubator, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of weird with some of my stuff. And I'm like, why? Well, I bought some eggs from the store and I've let them, I left them out on the counter, so instead of eating them, we're just going to incubate them. No, you can't do that, guys. You can't. They're not fertilized. You can't do it. But anyways, okay, let me get out of my rabbit hole again and let's get this video finished up, because I know you guys are probably getting tired of hearing me talk. So, okay, so another thing that you need to know, a lot of the times, I'm not sure how this is going to work considering the time change and stuff coming up, but during the winter, most chickens go through this thing that they call molting. Now, usually this happens after they're 1 year old, but when they molt, they get all ugly looking and like they lose feathers and stuff, and they go through a time, it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to lay any eggs because they're molting and whatever. Now, some people who have reptiles may kind of know what I'm talking about here, but I don't really have a clue. But yeah, anyways, so they go through this molting process and everything, so they're not going to give you eggs during that time either. But if you as long as you've got a faithful few giving you eggs, hey, you're good to go. Looking at my list, I think I've got pretty much everything covered. The thing is, if you're only feeding a couple of people, now we are a family of 5. Now, my youngest does not eat food like that yet. He is 9 months old today, but well, maybe tomorrow or yesterday by the time you guys see this. But the goat's messing with my camera. Stop, Lenny. Stop. Back up. Back up. Okay, so here we go. Hey, Lenny. So we have covered that if you decide to take the route with backyard chickens, 2 to 3 chickens would do good for 2 people. Like I said, we're a family of 5, so we kind of do a little bit more than that. You will need an enclosure, you will need a coop, and you will need feed. there are things that can go wrong. YouTube that stuff, guys, because that's, if something goes wrong, there are plenty of people out there that can possibly help you out. All right, guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you guys today. Hope you learned. My Southern education's coming out. I hope you learned some stuff. And if you decide to get any chickens, comment down below and let me know what you got. I might be interested in checking out some different breeds myself. So anyways, love you guys, and we will see you in the next video.